As this is the first kit we've put together, I thought it would be a good idea to do a quick assembly video. So, first things in the box, instructions, 3 axles, belt and cable, bag of bits, the front of the frame and the rear of the frame. First things first, some small bits in there, so try not to lose them. So, the thicker of the metal bars, and there should be 4 nuts that fit on that. So just thread a nut on and take it in about 3 centimetres. Same on the other side. And push that through one of the holes on the frame. On the side with the motor, the nut needs to be flush with the end of the rod. So you push that nut on and just tighten the nut up at the back. And the rear of the frame, same thing. Not critical here how far through it goes, but just make sure it's nice and tight. Once the frame is flat and level, you can tighten all the nuts up. So they can be good and tight. And that's that. Next part is the 2 axles. So the first thing to go on these is one of the tiny 6mm spacers, followed by one of the bearings and a couple of nuts. This first nut here holds everything together, so make sure that's nice and tight against the bearing there. This nut can go wherever, and then you need one of the pulleys with the embedded nut. Just make sure the embedded nut goes at this side, and then again thread that all the way down. One of the rubber rings and another nut, and then another of the pulleys. Okay, so once you've got that on, it's another rubber ring, one of the bearings, and that is that. So rinse and repeat with the other one. Once the axles are assembled, they just need adding into the frame. So the easiest way I found to do this is to pop the front one into the slots, just hold it there, and then move the back one up, and they should sit there quite nicely while you put the bolts through. Just make sure they're seated nicely in the slot. And then you can fasten the bolts, the nuts onto the bolts to hold it all in place. Take 3, fastening the nuts onto the bolts. It's quite an awkward angle to do it from here. All I need to do is screw them down. Just put them on loosely for now, we can tighten them up when it's done. One, and same again with the second one. just push them down, make sure they're fully seated in the slots, and then tighten the nuts up. You don't need to be ridiculously tight, hand tight is fine for these. There we go. So these two bolts here, these two nuts here, can be quite tight because they need to hold everything in place. Next thing is the tensioner. So that sits in the slots here and can slide up and down there to keep the belt in tension. So just unscrew the nut off the end, pop it through the hole and fasten it at the back. So if you hold the nut, you can just twist the front of it to tighten it up, put it in position, or the other way around to loosen it. The lifter can either be fastened inside, so there's a slot for that to fit in, and that can be adjusted from there with one bolt. I tend to find these easier from the inside. And a nut on the end of that. So that gives you quite a good range in height. Alternatively, if your item's only got a slight slope on it, you can remove it, and using the two bolts, again from the inside it's usually easier, just fasten it on that way around. You get a bit more adjustability for lower items. Next step is attaching and tensioning the belts, which is all pretty straightforward. Basically it just hooks over everything. And once it's over the tensioner, hold the nut at the back, twist the tensioner anti-clockwise to loosen it, slide it down until you've got the tension you need, hold the nut at the back, and then just turn it clockwise and tighten it up. That keeps it all nice and tight. Last step is just pop the little rubber tyres into the grooves. Give them a spin to make sure you've got no loose ones. And then you can adjust these little pulleys on the axles to whatever position you want them in, just by screwing them up the thread. And then spinning the nuts up. A little twist in opposing directions, and they're secure. Then it's finding whatever you want to engrave. So in this case I want to do this. Try and make sure the centre line of the object you're engraving is parallel with the axles, and then that should engrave perfectly well. Cable obviously just plugs into the stepper motor. Give it a wiggle, that should go in easily. And the black end with the plug, you connect the cable from your lower stepper motor on the engraver into that, and then you're good to go.